Thank you, DGE, for that fabulous introduction. And I am so excited to be a part of this special meeting today. You know, we talk about Rotary International, and this meeting is proof that we really are an international organization. We say one Rotary, but we realize that it's our diversity that makes us unique and special. Each one of us are like pieces of a puzzle. When you pick up a puzzle piece, you know it's part of something special. But until you put all the pieces together, you cannot see the full picture. And that's what we represent as part of the 1.4 million Rotarians who join together to create lasting change around the globe in our communities and certainly in ourselves. Family of Rotary, I see a lot of special people on the screen, but I'm not going to mention everyone by name simply because I couldn't mention everybody. There are over 300 of you here on this Zoom meeting, and I understand that we're also on YouTube. So just a special hello to all my family of Rotary, and I thank you so much for making time to be part of this special meeting. Rotarian Azeri asked me to speak with you briefly about the internationality of Rotary and a little bit about partnerships and economic and community development. So I'm going to make a couple of comments about that. And then my aide, who is past District Governor Tom Gump from Minnesota in the United States, he and I are going to share a little bit about the internationality of Rotary with a PowerPoint that we use. But let me touch for a minute about our partnerships and our economic and community development. When we talk about partnerships, you know, what I'm really focused on when I hear that is the very first word of our vision statement, which says together. Together. You know, it was Helen Keller who said, alone we can do so little, but together we can do so much. And that's really what we should be thinking of when we think about the partnerships that we are able to get together. And then I also think about our action plan. You know, our action plan has 4 priorities that each of our Rotary clubs is encouraged to look at and talk about how does that make sense for us locally. Well, the very first priority is the one that talks about increasing our impact, getting better at measurement so that we have those strong statements. You know, when we have strong impact statements, that's really what catches the attention of other partners. Think about our polio program. Since the inception, we've been able to say, when we eradicate polio, there will be 11 million children annually who won't get some crippling disease. And that's a powerful impact statement. And that's why today we have more than a dozen partners in our efforts to eradicate polio. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, the Gavi Vaccine Alliance, the Center for Disease Control, and on and on and on. And then finally, I think about our areas of focus. You know, one of our areas of focus does take a look at how do we grow local economies. And I know that you have heard many of the stories that have come from that area of focus. Some of you may be aware of the Rotarians who reached out to the Navajo Nation here in the United States to provide solar lights to homes that were in very remote lands, or the microloans program that we have all over the Rotary world, where we grant financial support to individuals so that they can become street vendors or rickshaw drivers or weavers or tailors and earn an income to support their family. And of course, there have been agricultural opportunities where people have been allowed to borrow money so that they can buy livestock or plant crops or to get training in sustainable farming. And of course, there's our Adopt a Village program where Rotary clubs have adopted a village and have used a multiple approach and a strong strategy to help break the cycle of poverty, and many, many, many other ways that we as Rotarians can contribute to economic and community development. But now I'm going to ask my aide, Tom Gump, if he will advance slides for us as we talk about the internationality of Rotary. As I mentioned earlier, we are one Rotary, but we are in over 200 geographic locations in the world. And it's the international part of Rotary that makes us so special because we bring different perspectives, different cultures, different languages to the work that we do to do good in the world. Let's go to the next slide, Tom. Tom, you can take this one. This is Options Beyond Club.
So when we do surveys across the Rotary world, and we've done 3 in the last 3 years, so many times people tell us that they left Rotary because they weren't comfortable with their club culture, the environment. So what RI, Rotary International President-elect Stephanie, and I would like you to know that there are lots of options beyond your club. Beyond the club, a lot of districts have areas that you can get involved in. We have district things that you can get involved in. And across the Rotary world, the districts are paired into paired zones, and there's 34 of those around the world. And then 2 zones make up a region, and then there's Rotary International. So we'd like to spend a little bit of time with you today to let you know there are lots of options. And if a particular club's not right for you, there's a place that you can go.
So international projects certainly are a beautiful way for us to engage our members. And again, this is one of the priorities in our action plan. When Rotarians become engaged, when they're involved in activities, they have a much better chance of remaining in a club, or those who aren't yet in a club and they see the beautiful work that's being done in the name of Rotary, that can be the attraction that suggests to them, I need to be a part of that. So international projects happen in one of 2 ways. You know, first we have, of course, through our Rotary Foundation, a multiple array of grant activities, including global grants, district grants, and of course our programs of scale. But we also are not limited to the Rotary Foundation. There are some clubs who simply want to do things around the world because it makes them feel good, and that's called international service. Whatever kind of activity you engage in, what's important is that you do an assessment ahead of time to find out what is really needed in that community. What do residents need? That way, you know that you're addressing an issue that really is something that can be made better.
And you know, the other thing that we have are Rotary action groups. Action groups are made to advise individuals on how to do those service projects that Stephanie was talking about. So they can help you learn how to finance a project or how to structure a project. But since they're not a district or they're not a club, they actually can't get global grants or district grants. However, they are experts that can help you, and there's more than 30 of these, and they meet once a year. You can visit them at the International Convention. So if you have a certain project, whether it be here pictured a water and sanitation hygiene project, you can go to them and get help.
And then in addition to Rotary action groups, we have something else called Rotary fellowships. These are groups of interested individuals, most of them Rotarians, who connect around a cause or a passion or a vocation or a hobby. And there are many, many, many of them. And you know, most Rotarians don't realize that they even exist. But these are people who get together and promote the activity in which they're interested in. So there is a wine tasting fellowship. And, you know, if I had more time, I would probably belong to that one. But I'm going to have to wait until after my year of service. But Tom has listed several here, ideas of how fellowships are organized. They can be around recreational activities. We have a fellowship for motorcycle riders. Around hobbies, around sports, vocations, and of course, history and culture. So you may want to introduce this concept at one of your Rotary Club meetings. Have a program about Rotary fellowships, and you may be surprised at how many people could be interested in getting together with other people around the world, mostly virtual, and develop a sense of who other folks are who are interested in that same kind of activity.
And there are a lot of fellowships that don't charge anything to join. There's even a fellowship on e-clubs. But whether you golf or fly planes, there's something for you. The other thing that we have are Rotary Community Corps. These are popular in some areas of the world. I see the Philippines are well represented today. We recently started in my district, 5 clubs came together to form a Rotary Community Corps. And what it is taking Rotarians and taking a group that needs service and putting them together. There's no additional membership charged the Rotarians. There's nothing charged to the individuals that are being served, but they work together on solving those problems. The one that we started in our community a couple of years ago was for Afghan refugees. We brought in people who could be their employers. We brought in people from local governments, state governments, librarians, so that they can actually get library cards and internet. So it's just another way to get people involved in your community.
And of course, one of our premier programs is Rotary Youth Exchange. This is a program that helps us promote peace one student at a time. And of course, whether we're sending students out from our districts or accepting students into our districts, it's an opportunity for Rotarians everywhere to learn from these young people. And not only do these young people engage with Rotarians, they also engage with students at participating schools, with their host families, with others that they meet. And of course, they visit Rotary clubs and talk about the experience that they have. So Rotary Youth Exchange is an incredibly important program, one of our programs that is at the forefront of us being a peace-building organization. And I hope that all of your clubs are engaged in youth exchange and will think about becoming even more active.
The other thing that we have in Rotary is zone coordinators. So if you have a particular specialty, maybe you're interested in membership, or you're interested in public image, or you're interested in what major gifts are happening in your area, or ending polio, you can ask to become one of these. They give a lot of advice. Typically around the world, they have different districts that they represent. And it's just a great way to get involved.
And Peace Fellows. Peace Fellows represent a major activity that our organization has to build peace, to promote peace, and that's our peace centers. We have peace centers located around the world. Our next peace center to open is scheduled to open in the Middle East, in Istanbul, Turkey. We currently have about 1,700 people who have gone through one of our peace centers, and they've earned either a master's degree in peace and conflict resolution or a certificate. And what they do is go back into their own community, and they work for sometimes NGOs. Oftentimes they go back into their own career. Recently when I was a Rotary Foundation coordinator, I was asked to help get a Peace Fellow to speak at one of our institutes. And when I connected with Rotary and found out who I was being connected with, it was a young man from Lagos, Nigeria. And he told me that he had gone through the short-term program in Chulalongkorn in Thailand. And he went back to his community where he was a police officer and he was working on child soldiering. So Peace Fellows represent a wide array of disciplines, and they learn about peace and conflict resolution, take it back to their community, and make a difference in the world. And the world needs our Peace Fellows now more than any other time.
The other thing that we have is we have institutes. Of course, we have our international convention every year, but we also have regional events. Take a region, the region I'm in the US runs from Canada down to Texas in the middle of our country. So Stephanie and I just participated in this particular zone institute, and we had great speakers. Of course, Stephanie was there. Our trustee-elect, Mark Maloney, was there. We had our director, Pat Merriweather, there, and we had speakers from the consulate in Ukraine, and other very good speakers. We got together, trained our DGEs, our district governor-elects, and our DGNs, and just learned a lot, had a lot of good fellowship. But it's something that you can be invited to, or you can get yourself invited to. It's a great way to network and meet new friends too.
And of course, I think all of you are familiar with our Council on Legislation. It is Rotary's way of taking a look at our constitutional documents and deciding if we need to make changes. As the world changes, so does Rotary. Our Council on Legislation is held once every 3 years, and it is a meeting held in Chicago in the United States. Each district is asked to elect or appoint one representative, one delegate to work on the Council on Legislation at that meeting. In addition to being at the Council on Legislation, those people also work on our Council on Resolutions, which is an online activity. And it's where districts and Rotarians may present information that does not need the debate that happens in the Council on Legislation, but rather has debate that happens online. And then those issues are resolved in that manner. So the next Council on Legislation is scheduled for April of 2025.
The other thing Rotary has is committees. And the way Rotary runs is we have committees that take up certain issues that they are charged to take up. We have committees such as membership, we have a finance committee, we have an audit committee, many committees. They meet in their subcommittees and they come up with proposed items that they take to the board of directors, and then the board of directors passes on those. Either passes or sends them back. And sometimes there's joint committees that both the board of trustees and the board of directors come together, such as the one you see Stephanie and I here at. The great thing about these committees is once a year in July in the Rotary magazine or your regional Rotary magazine, some of those committees have vacancies. And you're allowed to appoint yourself or others you think would like to serve on a committee. But it's just a great way to learn more about Rotary.
Tom, let's go back to that slide for just a moment. I wanted to comment on it. I know many of you on this call have probably had a chance to visit Rotary headquarters in Evanston. And this, of course, is the boardroom. If you have not yet had an opportunity to do that, I hope you'll think about putting that on your bucket list, making that a plan for the future. Visiting headquarters is a very, very interesting experience. There's so much history about Rotary. And of course, the boardroom is one of the stops on the tour.
And if you want a good tour, you could always ask Gina. She's the one who gives the tours at Rotary International. You'd really enjoy that.
This is for you, Tom, this one.
So every year, the president of Rotary International sends her or his representatives to a district conference. If a district conference qualifies, you have to have over 150 people, and it usually needs to be a multi-day event. And if it's not, do it with another district. But President Stephanie can't make it to all, districts because there's going to be 520 right now and another 5 that are in the wings. So 525 that would be eligible to receive a representative. So since Stephanie's busy going to institutes and pets and all kinds of foundation meetings, she sends a representative. You can apply to be a representative. And it's just a great way to learn about Rotary, learn about President Stephanie next year, her initiatives, and then go to districts and explain those and represent her at those events.
And of course, those of you on the line who are DGEs or learning facilitators or have some other reason to be at the International Assembly, you know that this is our major meeting during the Rotary year where we prepare our district governor-elects for the role that they begin on July 1st, the following July 1st. Our International Assembly is currently scheduled to be held in Orlando, Florida, where we have a contract at a beautiful resort. We will have all 520 of those incoming district governors in Orlando so that they can receive their final round of preparation and be fully prepared to take over, to go back to their district and be inspired and to help the clubs in their districts become simply irresistible.
The other thing you could do is actually, if you'd like to ride on the Rose Bowl parade float in Pasadena in the beginning of 2025, you can ride with President Stephanie at that time. And it's just a great way to celebrate her year coming up as president. There's about 80 million people who watch the parade and replays of the parade. It's just one way that Rotary gets its name out there to the rest of the world in hopes of getting more people to join.
And of course, I know you're all familiar with our international conventions. Every year, Rotary holds a convention in a major city where every Rotarian is invited to attend. You know, when I talked about the International Assembly, you heard that it's only for a certain kind of Rotarian, someone getting prepared to become a governor or who has another reason to be there. This, the International Convention, is for every Rotarian. You know that our next International Convention is scheduled to be held in Singapore this coming May. And in 24-25, our International Convention will be in Calgary in Canada. So again, I hope that this is something that you will consider attending. Those of you who have been to an international convention, I know you can share with all of your club members what a fantastic experience. It really, really brings home the internationality of our organization. And it is an amazing experience. It is generally a 4-day event. It includes a house of friendship where you can see so many projects on display and so many vendors and just have a chance to meet Rotarians from around the world. I remember going to my first international convention, and to this day, there are still Rotarians with whom I communicate via email or WhatsApp who I met at that very first international convention.
It really is an amazing experience. So now's our favorite part of any presentation, and that's answering your questions. It's not often you have a chance to ask a president-elect question. So whoever's gonna, if it's not gonna be you, Alberto, that's going to forward the questions.
To moderate the question answer session. Thank you, RIP and Tom.
Of course.
For enlightening us with all the information that we need to know and need to gather to become better Rotarian and do better in our clubs. Thank you so much. So now the question answer session will be taken over by Rotarian Alberto Palombo, TRF Cadre Technical Coordinator from Rotary Club of Brasilia International, District 4530.
Thank you very much, President Stefan Urchick and my dear friend Tom Gump for being here. Also, Smita and all the group we are all thrilled to have you here. And well, as it couldn't be any other way, we are at capacity, and I apologize in advance for any logistical situations that a full room always provides to volunteer work. But I want to make use of my privilege of a co-host to first thank that this internationality of Rotary is assisted precisely because we have Rotarians, Rotaractors, and Rotecs that are serving as interpreters. So we can communicate in any language the Rotary wants. Just forward us the names of those volunteers that want to do interpretation, that we take it from that point on, and we have translation training and remote interpretation training to assist in our Rotary, Rotaract, and Rotary related meetings. So, well, okay, it couldn't be any other way, Stephanie. You're very popular. We have tons of questions for you because the
Well,
International Rotary.
well, Alberto, I have 2 minutes. Then I apologize. I have to go to another
Yes.
meeting. But fire away. I'll answer as many as I can.
Okay. Yeah, we have many, but we have selected some. The rest I will forward to Tom, and then if you can be so kind, you can respond that we
Of,
relay the answers
of course.
to
Or we
our
could
audience.
let Tom answer all the leftover questions.
Oh, okay. But well, please allow us. There are very interesting questions, President
Okay.
Stephanie. What is the most important thing that will determine the future of Rotary, in your opinion?
Growing membership. You know, we are a fabulous organization. We do marvelous things. We eradicate polio. We provide clean water. We, empower girls. We do marvelous things. But if we don't have people, if we don't have enough hands to do that work of Rotary, then so what? We really need to focus on making sure that our message gets out to the Rotary world. You know, there are over 300 people who are watching today or listening. We all know what Rotary is. It's the people who are not on this call. It's the non-Rotarians who need to hear more about the magic of this organization and what we do. So that's our role as Rotarians. We are all leaders in one way or the other, whether we have a certain title or not. It's our responsibility to message to the world how fabulous this organization is. I am proud to be a member of the best organization in the world, and I want us to continue to grow our membership.
Thank you very much, Stephanie. Very well prepared answer, because I know it comes the preparation of being a person who worked on the strategic plan. As a matter of fact, I want to also share an additional fact that is not in the resume that we heard about the Stephanie Urchick. She was also the head of our strategic plan as we know it today, which
Yes.
is, by the way, very, very powerful, and it's very easy to explain to people outside Rotary what we are intending to do. The next question is, can we have a Rotary International Conference in Africa?
Well, you know, I'm going to let Tom answer that because he's been involved in some of those things. You know, there are committees who go and visit certain areas, and there are certain things that a city or a region has to have in order for Rotary to consider having a convention. Tom, do you want to pick up there where I left off?
Absolutely. So Rotary has a wonderful staff, and they have a meetings and events staff. It's coordinated by Shannon Watson. And every year they put out a manual. It's last year's manual that was passed in October 2022 is about 125 pages. But you can get a copy of this manual and you can see what a city or a country needs to qualify. It's usually a city that's bidding. Of course, they have an availability to have non-traditional cities, even if they're smaller, bid. A recent example is Manila for 2028. But when you bid on the application, be prepared. This is Minneapolis's bid. It's a 5-inch D-ring. There's a lot of questions you have to fill out, such as what's the average temperature? What's your crime rate? What kind of mass transit is there? Sometimes cities are too large to focus in an area. It doesn't give the experience that they're looking for. But you know, it's a great thing to do, and I would encourage you, South Africa, to apply because it's an opportunity for you to talk up your city. It's an opportunity to get your government excited about it and your local Rotarians. So there's no. We've been trying to get one here in Minneapolis for 10 years now, and now we're down to 2 cities that are qualifying. But even if we don't get it, we're super excited that we had the opportunity to bid because we got all the Rotarians excited. And we've actually gained some really good membership because people are excited to learn about Rotary. So, and you could contact me offline and I can give you more details.
Okay, Stephanie, one last for you. how is Rotary International ensure that all Rotary clubs have financial and administrative reporting accountability?
I'm not sure there's an answer for that, Alberto. The Rotary Club has autonomy to set its own local dues and to, arrange its governance in a way that makes sense. So it's a local decision. I will tell you this. I can't speak for all of Rotary senior leadership, but I am very sensitive to the cost of Rotary membership, to the cost of things. I think it's important that be on the front burner for us as we look at, how much it costs to be in Rotary. In some
Yes.
places of the world, it's not as critical, but in some places it is. An increase in dues, it makes a big difference in some places. So it is on my radar screen, and we do our best to look at ways that we can save money and make the experiences in Rotary less expensive for people. And if we want to attract younger generations, we also have to keep that in mind. They're building their careers, they're building homes, they're putting their children through college, and we have to pay attention to the costs that some of us who are seasoned Rotarians may not have any longer. So it's on my radar screen. That's probably the best answer that I can give you right now.
Thank you. That is a very, very thoughtful answer because, money talks, and Rotary needs the funds not only for the foundation, but also to function. But we need also to be, everybody need to be very, very thoughtful of where we are spending in our day-to-day functioning of Rotary, and that connects. And I'm going to abuse once more my privilege of forwarding questions. What about technological innovation to assist in the management of Rotary, such as artificial intelligence, cloud computing, and blockchain, even blockchain to protect
Absolutely.
our projects?
We have a new information technology director at Rotary. And here's the problem. When he came on board, he inherited a technological mess because over the years, Rotary had implemented different systems and platforms. But the problem is they don't talk to each other now. So he is currently taking a look at how do we merge all of that and put it together. So Paul is very aware of how technology can move us forward. I know that as younger and more experienced professionals with technology come into our organization, they will have a better handle. They will use AI to make us stronger. Personally, I'm just speaking for me, artificial intelligence scares the heck out of me. But that doesn't mean that I am not open to ways that we can use it. Translation is a perfect example of how we could put that technology to use to help move us forward. So I am not against any of that. And I know Rotary as an organization is taking steps to continue to move forward. I don't know how many of you were Rotarians 20 years ago, but do you remember our website back then? It is a whole lot better now, and it continues to improve.
Absolutely. Stephanie, for your information, we have forwarded a technology and innovation in Rotary proposal to the 3 incoming presidents. Yours is in the hands of my friend Tom Gump.
Okay.
So, we recognize the great work that the Rotary staff does for us, but we Rotarians also have a lot of capabilities that we are willing to put forward to make that happen, and also to curb on the cost of running Rotary.
Well, I thank you. Thank you.